Is Google the only search engine that matters? When people talk about SEO and natural search traffic, they're generally referring to Google. It gets the largest percentage of search traffic out of the major search engines, but should you focus purely on Google or spread your efforts out across all the different search engines? Google has held roughly 65% of the overall market share for search pretty consistently for the last year or more. Yahoo and Bing, the two main competitors, are both under 20%. On the surface, this would indicate that you should focus on Google for your search traffic. Those numbers don't tell the whole story, however. The search market share can vary from one market to another. It's not a hard and fast rule, but in general, Google tends to be used by searchers who are more tech savvy. So in markets that have more technical users, Google's market share can be high, even higher than the overall numbers. But in less technical markets, Bing and Yahoo often have higher shares than they do overall. This is particularly true for Bing because it's the default search engine for Windows users. There are a lot of people who just use whatever's included by default, so they use Bing. Another factor that you should consider is that putting all your eggs in one basket is never a good idea. Google is notoriously fickle when it comes to changing things, and even if your site is ranking well today, there's no guarantee it will continue. One little change in Google's algorithm could cause your rankings to plunge. If you focus on Bing and Yahoo to some degree at least, you'll have alternative sources of traffic if that ever happens. It's also important to consider some of the changes that have happened on the internet over the last couple of years. Sites like Facebook and Twitter have become extremely popular, and many people spend a large percentage of their time on them, particularly on Facebook. While these sites aren't search engines, they can still be very effective for driving traffic to your websites. And because they're harder to game due to their social nature, they're being used as a ranking factor by the search engines. By focusing some of your efforts on these sites, you can get the benefits in Google and other search engines while still diversifying your traffic strategy somewhat. SEO versus conversions. Search engine optimization, or SEO, is all about getting your site ranked higher in the search engines, especially Google. There are various strategies that can help you rank higher, both on-site and off-site. But no matter how high your site ranks and how much traffic you get from the search engines, you're going to need to convert those visitors if you want to generate any revenue with your site. And by convert those visitors, we mean convince them to take whatever action it is you want them to take. Clicking on an ad, signing up for your email list, liking your page on Facebook, or buying your product, and so on. You need to balance the need for SEO against the conversion rate of your page to be successful. That means optimizing the visitor experience as well as the SEO of your pages. Don't overuse keywords on your page to the point of making it unreadable for real visitors. Keyword stuffing is one of the most common mistakes people make, and frankly, it isn't necessary anyway. Years ago, when the search engines were still relatively new, whatever site used a keyword the most times often ranked the highest, but those days are long gone. It's also a good idea to include things that make your site more sticky, like video and audio content. A sticky site simply means your visitors stay longer, and these types of content will help. The search engines can identify when someone clicks on your site and then goes back and clicks on a different one. If that happens too much, it's quite likely that it will impact your ranking, and not in a good way. So adding things that keep people engaged can ultimately help both your conversions and your SEO. You can also look at the conversion process as a multi-step strategy. The page that your visitors land on when they click on your site in the search results could be the first step in the process, perhaps convincing them to opt into your email list or click through to another page on your site. Once you get them beyond the initial page, you can focus much more on the conversion aspect and less on SEO, since it doesn't matter how high those pages rank or if they do at all. The only page that needs to rank highly is the landing page they hit when they first click through.